President Tinubu calls for peace, civility in Edo State governorship election. Dangote officials, refiners tackle marketers over imported premium motor spirit. In keeping with its traditions, Daura commemorates Maulud in grand style. On the foreign scene, dozens killed in Mali attack by Al-Qaeda affiliate. Hello and welcome to Trust TV's news updates. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. Thank you for joining us. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called on all stakeholders in the upcoming Edo State governorship elections to conduct themselves peacefully and sportingly. The election is scheduled for Saturday, September 21, 2024. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President, Bayo Onanuga, on Friday said the President implored the governorship candidates, political parties and supporters to respect the democratic process and the people's will. Tinubu noted that the Independent National Electoral Commission has committed to conducting a free and fair election and urged all stakeholders to work together to ensure a successful and peaceful process. The President commended the governorship candidates and political parties for their campaigns, which have focused on issues that matter most to the people of Edo State, including improving livelihoods, growth and contributing to national development. He urged all citizens in the state to remain peaceful and respectful throughout the voting process. Tinubu also encouraged them to resolve any disagreements amicably through the constituted authorities. Over in Benue State, its governor, Hyacinth Alias, says the forthcoming local government elections in the state will be transparent. Governor Alias said this when he briefed State House correspondents in Abuja after a meeting with President Bola Tinubu at the presidential villa on Thursday. The governor also noted that the relative peace in the state will be sustained before, during and after the local council polls. Alias explained that the state was prepared for any eventuality following the release of water from the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon.
We have elections coming up on just next month, 5th October, the primaries for the local government. I think of note should be the fact stated that I was one amongst the very first people who, before the declaration of autonomy by the legal authorities, we had already made it in our state that autonomy was already granted. We're very sure that it's going to play out quite well. So we're very comfortable with the elections coming up.
The national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, on Thursday said there was no truth in the allegation linking him to a fresh plot to unseat the Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi II. The rebuttal comes in the wake of a viral report circulating on social media with a caption that read, "Ganduje leads fresh plot to dethrone Emir Mohammed Sanusi II." Emir Sanusi returned to the throne in May, about 4 years after he was dethroned during Ganduje's tenure as Kano State Governor. His dethronement was validated by the court, a judgment many believed was influenced by the Ganduje administration. In a Thursday statement obtained in Abuja, Ganduje dissociated himself from any alleged fresh move to dethrone Sanusi, describing the claim as lame. Ganduje questioned how he could dethrone the Emir of Kano when he was no longer the governor of the state. He added that those pushing the claim were only trying to create bad blood between Ganduje and the presidency. Still on Kano, the Judicial Service Commission of the state has suspended a court registrar of the Sharia Court Department, Jamilu Ibrahim, along with other syndicates found to have received illegal funds emanating from a right of possession that was fraudulently obtained in order to sell 2 plots of land. This is contained in a statement by the spokesman, Kano Judiciary, Jibo Ibrahim, and made available to newsmen on Friday. He said the commission took the decision in its 75th meeting held on September 12, 2024. He said following the findings of the investigative committee set up by the GSC to investigate the petition against Ibrahim and others, the investigative investigation revealed that Ibrahim, along with a syndicate, were liable for their actions. Jibo noted that the committee recommended that Ibrahim should be dismissed from service. However, according to him, the Judicial Service Commission has suspended Ibrahim indefinitely without pay, pending the outcome of the trial he is facing before a magistrate court. The spokesman additionally said when Zubairu Sulaiman, registrar of the Upper Sharia Court, was also found to have received 1 million naira into his personal account as a sales commission from the sale of the 2 plots of land. He maintained that the suspended staff of the Kano Judiciary are registrars of the Sharia Court Department. Domestic crude oil refiners and officials at the Dangote Petroleum Refinery have kicked against the commencement of the importation of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, by major oil marketers in Nigeria. Oil refiners allege that some imported fuels were of low quality when compared with the ones produced by the Dangote Refinery, a position that was reiterated by officials of the $20 billion Lekki-based plant. Dealers also said about 141 million liters of PMS are being conveyed to Nigeria by oil vessels following the full deregulation of the downstream oil sector by the federal government. They also noted that the recent hike in the pump prices of petrol produced by the Dangote Refinery and released by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on Monday had allowed room for PMS imports. Reacting to this on Thursday, officials at the Dangote Refinery and the Crude Oil Refiners Association of Nigeria tackled the marketers, stressing that aside from the fact that the situation would increase the demand for United States dollars, the imported fuels were of low quality. Another official at the plant stated that Nigerians should be concerned about the importation of substandard petroleum products into the country. Their positions were corroborated by the publicity secretary of Koran, Eche Idoko, who alleged that some of the substandard fuels were blended in Malta or Togo. He called for backward integration, saying some were afraid that Dangote would become a monopoly. The Domestic Refiners Association spokesperson condemned the continuous importation of fuel by marketers despite the coming on board of the Dangote Refinery. A week after the Alau Dam overflowed into Maiduguri, residents are slowly piecing their lives back together in the wake of the devastation. While the entire community felt the impact, residents believe the hardest hit were those in middle to low income neighborhoods. In this report, Trust TV Secretary Ibrahim visits Bulabulin Ward, one of the worst affected areas, to show us how residents are navigating life in the aftermath of the flood.
We set out on this sojourn to see firsthand what reality looks like for residents in the Borno State capital who were hardest hit by what they described simply as an act of God. Hence our encounter with Jamila Yusuf, who risked it all to save her 90-year-old mother, who resides in her family home in Bulabiring ward of Maiduguri.
And they called me around 1 o'clock. They say they have flood in their house. Before I reached there, it's not easy. They bring my mother out from that place. Their house would break, all of the place there. Many houses was brought.
Her mother, Hajia Uwani Adam, revealed that she was asleep and had no idea her apartment was flooded till her daughter arrived.
I was at home sleeping. I didn't even know the rain had come till my daughter came to wake me, and I asked what happened. She said flood. I opened the door and saw water gushing in.
The floods have come, and it's obvious that its aftermath remains here in Bulabulin community, just a week after the unfortunate incident hit this community. Perhaps we've seen what the water has done in terms of how many areas the water, passed through. We've seen how large the body of water is that swept through Maiduguri town and all of that. But we've not seen really how much damage it has caused firsthand in these areas. And probably this is the reason why we'll be taking you inside. For example, this is one of the residences that was affected by the flood. And from coming in, you could see already the roofs are down. I mean, look at all of this. Well, this is all part of what transpired when the flood happened. Fortunately, most of those who are residents, in fact, all of those who are residents in this house, interestingly, were saved from the flood. All thanks to the daughter of Hajia, who came to the house in the midnight around 1 a.m., by the way, to wake up Hajia so as for Hajia to be evacuated out of these premises that we now see has unfortunately collapsed.
Jamila comes to Bulabring every day. She cooks what she can and brings it daily to share with the distraught residents. She grew up in Bulabring. It's the least she can do, she said.
It's so sad, so sad. You know, many people there, they need help. Nobody go there and help them. Many people. That area, all the people, I'm telling you, almost 85%, they are very poor. We homeless, they don't have room, they are going to stay there. Why? They don't have any place they will go and live there.
While in Bulabring ward, we spoke with some residents who described the situation as heartbreaking.
Well, it's very hard, I can say, because there is a lot of casualties here. Most of the houses have been burned, and people are suffering from what they are eating. No place to sleep, no place to live. This is how we live. People are stranded. Our clinic that everyone in terms of health matters have already are destroyed by the flood. The only clinic that we have is Kalimari. It's now people are tripling there. They cannot even afford the medicine or other intervention to the people. If you go to General Hospital, the nearest, because that is specialist hospital, even there people are so many, you cannot attend it by the health specialist.
This incident is an act of God and not that of government. But if things go bad, it is the responsibility of government to fix it. We in Bulabring are the hardest hit among all the affected wards. All of us now sleep on the expressway. For residents of Bulabring ward, the flood's aftermath is one they can see, feel, and smell.
If you were in Bulabulin ward 2 weeks ago, perhaps this is going to be a different view for you. But then today, it is what it is. This is what streets here in Bulabulin ward looks like, because according to some of them, this ward has been the most affected, or rather impacted by the flood. If you look behind me, you would see kids playing around that area. Well, they are playing and they are having fun. Perhaps they do not understand what the situation is.
From Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, Sagir Ibrahim for Trust TV News.
Still in Maiduguri, the university there is set to resume academic activities on Monday after it was shut down due to the devastating flood that rocked the city over a week ago. The registrar of the institution, Ahmed Lawan, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday. Academic activities are set to resume after the flood water has receded and the situation in the state has improved. The institution on Tuesday, September 10, suspended academic activities as well as temporary closure of offices due to the flood. Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, experienced its worst flood in 30 years after the Alau Dam ruptured on September 10. The Alau Dam, which is located in the Jere local government area, some 20 kilometers away from the metropolis, broke out in the early hours of September 10, causing flooding along the riverine areas, including major roads, zoos, schools, hospitals, and other public facilities. While the United Nations Human Rights Refugee Council, UNHCR, and residents of the Maiduguri Metropolitan Council, MMC, described the flood as the city's worst experience when compared to the flood that swept the city in 1994, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, described it as an unprecedented occurrence. You're still watching News Update on Trust TV. Still to come. In keeping with its traditions, Daura commemorates Maulud in grand style. More news when we return. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. If you just joined us, this is the news update on Trust Television. A recap of our top stories. President Tinubu calls for peace, civility in Edo State governorship elections. We also informed you that Dangote officials, refiners tackle marketers over imported premium motor spirit. To more stories. The Adamawa state government has decisively approved over 2 billion naira for the urgent rebuilding of the Yola burnt market. This significant decision was made during an executive council meeting presided over by Deputy Governor Professor Kaleptal Fadotel at the Government House in Yola. Following the meeting, the Commissioner for Education and Human Capital Development, Dr. Umar Garuba Pela, emphasized the Council's proactive stance on addressing issues affecting citizens, including the recent flood impact and the necessary closure of schools to mitigate its effects. Ishaya John Dabari, the Commissioner for Commerce, Trade and Industry, underscored the approval of over 2 billion naira for the reconstruction of the Yola market within a strict 9-month time frame.
Is the fact that we are calling on the people, especially those who are on the floodplain, to be proactive. Proactive in the sense that people need to stay away from those areas at this time. People also need to understand that there are certain things that you don't leave there, especially your food stuff, because when it comes, it will be a double jeopardy. After destroying the houses, it takes away our food, and we cannot afford hunger and displacement at the same time. So I'm calling on our people to prepare. We are preparing the minds of our people to be aware that this thing is a reality. More so that the alert is coming from NEMET, which is the highest authority as far as alerts and warnings are concerned as in terms of this kind of disaster.
One of the unique things about the Asian city of Daura is the culture of celebrating Maulud with a special Durbar organized by the Emirate Council every year. This year's celebration was spectacular, in organization, particularly as it comes at a time when many residents are harvesting farm produce coupled with the relative peace the Emirate is enjoying, unlike some parts of Katsina State. Abdullah Yamadi completes the report.
Sallah Gani in the ancient city of Daura is an annual event being celebrated in remembrance of the birthday of the Holy Prophet of Islam. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and his companions. The Daura Emirate under Emir Farooq Umar Farooq organizes a spectacular Doba with all the district heads and other traditional title holders participating, with special prayers seeking for divine intervention for the continued development and prosperity of the Emirate. The festive season is an opportunity for sons and daughters, friends and well-wishers of the Emirate to come back home and celebrate the annual Sallah Gani. Emir Farooq Umar Farooq, leading the procession of district heads adorned in traditional royal regalia and riding on a horse, went through the major streets of Daura, receiving prayers and acknowledging pleasantries from residents to Gidan Magajiya as the tradition provides. Here, the Emir distributes kola nuts to family members and relatives, as well as other friends of the Emirate, marking Eid al-Maulud before heading back to the palace. Drummers, singers, and other performers accompanying the Emir in a long procession entertained the spectators. mass message was read by the Danajin Daura Abdulmumin Gwadabi. In the message, the Emir appreciated Governor Dikko Radda's administration for its effort towards preserving the cultural heritage of the Emirates. The Emirate is grateful to all for attending this year's Sallah Gani. We believe the celebration is unique to Daura Emirate, with all our people coming together to celebrate, discuss our common interest, and thank Allah, the Almighty, for His blessings. Farouk also added that Daura will always support all government policies and programs, maintaining that his people will remain relentless in prayers for peace and prosperity of not only the state, but the country as a whole. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The Presidential Committee on Livestock Sector Reforms Implementation on Thursday submitted its inception report to President Bola Tinubu. Speaking to journalists shortly after meeting with the President, the chairman of the committee and former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Atahiru Jega, said the committee was able to identify measures on how the Nigerian government can judicially utilize the livestock industry in Nigeria. He revealed that the 152-page document submitted to President Tinubu recommends measures that the government can use to mitigate the farmers-herders clashes across the country. According to him, the committee's position is that it would be counterproductive to immediately stop open grazing as a traditional method of pastoralism.
Mr. President inaugurated this committee on the 9th of July, and the committee began work immediately after inauguration. And we have been able now to produce what we call an inception report, which contains very wide-ranging recommendations as to how our country can tap the potentials of the livestock sector. Very happy that Mr. President has recognized the need to redress this neglect and has invited us to contribute to finding ways and the means of unlocking the opportunities in this sector.
In business, the supply of dollar and other currencies dropped at the foreign exchange market as the Naira exchange rate depreciated on Thursday. FDMQ data showed that the foreign exchange transactions turnover declined to $87.51 million on Thursday from $139.48 million recorded the previous day. This represents a $57.97 million decrease in FX transactions turnover on a single day. Development led to the depreciation of Naira to 1,544 Naira and 2 kobo per dollar on Thursday from 1,539 Naira 65 kobo exchanged on Wednesday. This comes amid the recent interest rate cut announced by the United States Federal Reserve. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee will be meeting next week to decide on the country's interest rate. Away from Nigeria, an elaborate attack by an Al-Qaeda affiliate in Mali's capital this week killed some 70 people, diplomatic and security sources said on Thursday, while the government offered no figures on casualties. Militants attacked an elite police training academy and the airport on Tuesday, demonstrating their ability to strike at the heart of Mali's capital. The country is fighting an insurgency that took root over a decade ago in its arid north. The complex and complexity of the attacks, the scale and complexity of the attacks further undermines the ruling junta's claims that security has improved since it booted out French and U.S. forces and turned to Russia instead for security. 2 diplomats serving in the region, including one based in Bamako, said the death toll was believed to be in the 70s. Reuters could not independently verify the numbers. A 3rd diplomat based in the region said hundreds were believed dead and wounded, and hospitals had run out of beds to treat survivors. Since the conflict in Mali erupted, violence has spread to neighbors in the Sahel region and reached the north of coastal countries. Thousands have been killed and millions displaced in the region, and some fighters are allied with Al-Qaeda or Islamic State. Tuesday's attack was claimed by Al-Qaeda affiliate Jamaat Nusrat. And in sports, French dark-criminal outfit Nantes has announced the signing of Super Falcons forward Chinaza Uchendu. Uchendu joined the Canaries from Turkish league champions Galatasaray. The 26-year-old struggled for regular playing time at Galatasaray last season, making just 5 league appearances. The striker is, however, looking forward to a successful spell in France. Uchendu started her European adventure with Portuguese club Braga in 2018. She has also played in Sweden for Linköping FC and South Korean side Gyeongju. And that's it for news updates at this time. For more news programs and documentaries, do want to follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I'm Chiamaka Nwafo. Thank you for joining us at this time.